Welcome to D-Lab. On the bench today I have a pretty interesting amp. So this is a 64 Fender reissue Vibroverb. It's supposed to be hand wired. The customer picked it up used and he said when he got it the rectifier tube was popped. Wouldn't even light up. He replaced that and he says it sounds okay, but it appears as though the tubes are running too hot. So he's concerned about that. So first I'll give you guys the grand tour if you've never seen the insides of one of these amps. And then I'll show you what I found. Alright, we'll start top side. Here's your main power transformer. GZ34 rectifier, pair of 6L6s. Got choke. And of course, the big output transformer. And it actually has stamped into the metal Fender. Pretty cool. Rest of the chassis looks like a typical lineup. I've already popped the cap cover. You can see the filter caps, and yep, it's those gray IC filter caps. I don't see any signs of leakage on these, but I did spot something that I thought was a little odd. So this has a 5AR4 rectifier GZ34. If you look at the tube data charts, that tube can only handle, say, 60 microfarads for the initial cap that it sees. Now take a look here. We've got two 220s in series at 300 volts, which would give you about 110 microfarads at 600 volts. So that's double the rating that 5AR4 would like to see. Maybe that is why it popped. I don't know. But I will not be putting in 220s. I've talked to the owner and we're going to bump these down in value to make that 5AR4 happy. I'm going to use F&Ts. All these will be changed. Here's the bottom side of the amp. I'm going to sweep this at 2 angles so you can see what's going on in the rear and the front, because there are some things I found pretty interesting. So here, it's the main power transformer. You can see the 5AR4 rectifiers there. And there's a fuse, and this is actually a 5 amp fuse that's in line with the filaments of the 5AR4. Found that pretty interesting. The other thing is, you see the lamp. You got a little 22 gauge wire, and the high current feeds go direct to the tubes. I really like that. We'll take a look at the eyelet board. You can see a date of 2002. I understand they only made like 500 of these amps. Here is the negative bias cap, another one of those ICs. Take a look at the positive lead. There's brown goo coming out of that. So that makes me think that possibly the bias has some issues, and that's why those output tubes are running so hot. Over here is a big, ginormous toggle switch. It's like a 4-pole double throw. And that is for some crazy mod they have. That wasn't on the stock Vibroverb, and the owner kind of wishes it wasn't there. But I told him, well, if you're not going to turn the switch, just leave it be. Run it as is. Down here, at the end of the filament string, you see the 200 ohm filament balancing resistors. Normally, you see those at the head of the filament string, and this is at the back. I thought that was real interesting. Maybe they did some research and found that they get a better noise reduction by having that all the way at the end. The rest of the eyelet board looks pretty standard. I did notice that there's no insulator under these boards. They're actually kind of a fiberglass material on standoffs, and that's a-okay with me. Alright, let's take a look the other way. Before I flip our view, there's 2 things I really need to point out. Take a look at the screen resistors. This guy has been pretty hot. That one looks like there's actually a little bit of physical damage on it. And here are the 2 1 ohm resistors, so you would measure your bias at this point and this point. center being ground, and of course there's your bias adjustment pot. Well, now we're looking at it from the back so we can see what's going on in the front of the amp. First thing that got my attention, there's no brass ground plate. I thought, oh my god, Fender built this amp and didn't use a ground plate? So I thought, how are they grounding their pots in their eyelet board? Well, you sure don't see a wire stringer going across the back of those pots, do you? But if you look close, you'll see that the star washers that hold these pots in have a ground tab, and that's where they're grabbing that ground. So they're getting a good connection between the ground and the chassis because the pot and the star washer are digging in. So that's a-okay. And the owner did say this thing is as quiet as can be. Now if you take a look right here, you'll see the eyelet ground points. They actually have a solder lug and a screw going into the chassis. The other thing that's cool, if you look at the back of these pots, they're CTS pots with real CTS numbers. Not some hokey remanufactured thing that has some foreign scribble on there, but they look like the real thing. No, Fender used good quality parts, including switchcraft jacks. Pretty nice build. So my first step is to finish my inspection under magnifying glass and bright light, make sure I don't spot anything out of line. Then, before I even attempt to power up, we're going to get these gray IC caps out of here. I'm going to change the screen resistors on the output tubes, bring it up on a variac and monitor it. There's a close-up on the end of that bias cap. For the heck of it, put it on my little ESR meter. It looks okay, but it's still leaking. So I popped one end of all the IC caps up so I could throw them on the ESR meter and they check okay. Here is the lineup of what's going to go in. We're going to change those 220s to 100 microfarad 450 volt F&Ts. Then we have a pair of 47s and a pair of 22s, all at 500 volt. Well, there's the lineup of F&T caps. I'm going to go underside now, change out those screen resistors, and then we'll give this thing a test. Okay, the amp is fired up. I'm monitoring the idle current across the 1 ohm resistors. There's full volume. She's nice and quiet. Now I need to monitor the bias levels, make sure things are stable, but it's looking good. Alright, got her back together. There's a reverb. It's working good.